Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 31 Days of Halloween on the Calvin Camp Podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything spooky and chilling. I'm Calvin.
And I'm Anthony, and today we have Scream. So let's get into it.
All right, everybody, we are back here again today. Another great episode. We have one of my favorite all-time movies, Scream. The original 1996 Scream, the first one that started the entire franchise. I think that this movie is easily one of my favorite movies of all time, and I love everything that's done with this movie. Is this our first Wes Craven movie that we've talked about?
Yeah.
Oh my God, here we go.
Yeah. This movie was phenomenal. Rewatching it, I just saw all the nods to a lot of things, and we'll go into that in a minute. But this movie is a phenomenal movie. If you've never seen it, go sit down and watch this one. It's good.
Yeah, this movie came out, like I said, in 1996, and it just changed the horror genre. It just changed everything up on everyone. It's amazing how this movie has not only inspired more modern horror, but it has just been such a influential part of just everything in the horror genre. I love Scream to death. From the story to the cast to just how well aware this movie is of itself. It's very meta. And that's what I really like it. It's because it's like, oh, we know about scary movies in this world. Like we know about, Nightmare on Elm Street, and we know about Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw, or just all of the classic horror movies, all leading up to the early 90s, finally ending with Scream and the Stab series, as they call it, based off of the character Ghostface, who's the main antagonist. And this movie's just amazing. Like, it really is just amazing.
It honestly doesn't get enough credit for what it is. It's like, I'd say it's one of Wes Craven's top movies. I know he's done Nightmare on Elm Street and The Hills Have Eyes back in the day in I think 77. But this movie, I mean, where we were in horror in the 90s, horror kind of took a small downhill climb, I should say, from the 80s being like the pinnacle of horror till we hit, this movie in 1996. Like, this movie was awesome.
I feel like the water was getting, diluted. It was just sequel after sequel after sequel, and then you hit Scream, which was new and inventive, and just changed the game. So,
yeah.
A little bit about Scream. It was directed by Wes Craven, like I said, and written by Kevin Williamson. It stars David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Matthew Lillard, Rose McGowan, Skeet Ulrich, sorry, I'm terrible again, and Drew Barrymore. And it's set in a small American town of Woodsboro. It is a high school murder mystery, basically, a whodunit, and obviously it's a slasher film. This movie, it just checks all the boxes in that genre, like in the specific slasher genre of horror. The suspense is there. The mystery is there. One of the greatest things about this movie, I remember when first watching this movie, I was so in love with Drew Barrymore. And I was like, oh, cool, Drew Barrymore's in this movie. And then she dies in the first 5 minutes, in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I thought her performance was amazing in this movie, and it was cool to see the whole portrayal of, okay, at first it felt like it was, you have the person calling her over and over and over, and it's like, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden the ambience switches and the music score comes into play as she talks on the phone, and it starts to get eerie and
she's
dark.
Realizing she's talking to a murderer.
Yeah.
She's like, who is this? What's your favorite scary movie?
Yeah. And then he interrogates her, and her boyfriend is on the porch, and it's just like, man, just the intro to this movie was just so good.
It's a great movie, and I even love the entire franchise of this movie. even with the newest installment. I think that Scream is just so well loved and so portrayed. One of my biggest highlights of this film is Matthew Lillard. I think that his character as Stu is just brilliant. And I also think that Billy Loomis as a character is genius as well. Like you don't expect it. You don't expect the reveal at the end of this movie to be, let alone Billy, but two killers. Being Billy and Stu.
Yeah. It just the build up towards it. You think it's Billy at the beginning, but it's not. They lock him up and say, okay, because he had a cell phone, he made calls. So it's just like it just a whole spin on this movie is just like, whoa, at the end, you're like, what the hell just happened? How did we end up here? Yeah, this movie just had really good homage to like horror at all. I mean, you have what's his name? Randy? Yeah, Randy. He works at Randy works at the video store. And
Randy's the best.
Yeah, Randy's makes this movie entertaining when he just pays homage to horror because he's such a horror fan. He works at a video store and he talks about all the horror movies and how it's linked and whatnot. And there's scenes of Halloween in this movie. He mentions the Howling to a customer in the video store. Just so much paid homage to like all horror in this movie.
And I think that Jamie Kennedy, the actor who plays Randy, I think that he just adds such a great comedic element to the character because he's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Take me over there and kill me?" Like he's so funny, and I love that about this movie. Again, with the meta-ness of this movie, it being so self-aware, just because of like an actual murder mystery happening amongst a group of people who know horror movies.
Yeah, I mean, even the shots, like when they're talking about Ghostface, you see him in the background. You're seeing like the way he's clutched down and like in a fetal position, moving around the house, like in so many shots, like he's portrayed that way.
It's scary.
It's just really cool. It is scary. It brings the suspense with those shots.
I also like the fact that it's like not anything supernatural. Like it's a real character. Like it's a real killer. It's somebody physical and not spiritual. So I think that's also a very scary element because I know a lot of people who actually think that is a scarier thing in horror movies than something of the supernatural, is more of just like somebody who's real and twisted. Again, this movie just like the script is great. The screenplay is great. Neve Campbell's performance as Sydney, being the final girl, is just awesome. Like Neve Campbell has stuck around for almost all of the entries to this movie. I think that she's so good.
Yeah, I thought her acting was phenomenal. I also thought, like I said, even Courtney Cox's acting in this movie is awesome. I liked her in this movie.
Yeah. So I think overall, what I'm going to give Scream is a 5 out of 5. I love this movie. I think that it's super solid. So I'm going to give it a 5. And acting, set, character design, everything in this, the setting, just everything with the horror genre, Ghostface himself as a new slasher, everything.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. This is definitely a 5 out of 5 on this one because this is basically one of Wes Craven's best movies. Like despite all his success with Nightmare on Elm Street, this movie is just he just did a full circle and just I love that he just put like I said, the set, the screenplay, the writing, everything that it was done in this movie. It's just awesome and it's done to a T, really. I mean, there's nothing really to say bad about this movie. This movie is awesome.
It does. It has great pacing too.
Pacing's good, cinematography, all that. It has pretty much, like you said, this movie checks every box.
And it keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire movie, which is really great. It's very immersive.
Very immersive and suspenseful. Like I said, the homage to all the horror films, just it's cool. I love how they just and every like plot hole when they talk about stuff about movies and blah 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 blah. Like even at the end when Neve Campbell goes, "Well, that's not going to happen in my movie." You know what I mean? Just like the whole paid homage to like movie scenes, like Anthony Perkins in Psycho. Billy references that. Like I said,
Yeah.
the whole thing with Carrie Strode, Laurie Strode with Halloween playing in the background, and the way Randy says there's 3 rules that you need to know, just like all that stuff is cool.
Also, David Arquette as Dewey is also another really incredible character that I wanted to talk about for a second, just because like he is such a important part to everything as a protector of the town. I think he's a deputy in the first movie, making his way to sheriff, and he is just somebody you root for the whole time, and then throughout the whole series, this is how you feel about Dewey. Like, that's what I really like about the main core characters of this franchise, is that you feel really connected to them throughout every entry into this franchise, and it's really great. So, obviously not everybody sticks around, but I'm not going to spoil everything because Anthony hasn't seen all of them, and I want him to watch them. So
I will get around to getting to see these.
don't
movies.
you spoil them in the comments either. I swear. Like,
I'll get around to it, but we're busy with these episodes.
yeah. So there's a lot that has come of Scream, and like I said, it's spawned 7 movies so far. It's spawning an 8th movie that's coming out next year. Hopefully actors return to it. Nev Campbell wasn't in the last one, not because her character's gone or anything, but she just wasn't in it due to some disagreements with the pay for her roles in this franchise. So obviously Hollywood being Hollywood, kind of like screwing her over a little bit. But hopefully they'll fix that. And I want to see more Sydney. I love Sydney. And just a lot of different things have come from this as well. Like, we've had Ghostface appear in multiple different medias, like video games. He's in Dead by Daylight as one of the killers. He's made his appearance in a couple other video games as well.
He's in that A Fan Fade Terrordrome game.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. And then they're actually what is the developers of The Quarry? Supermassive?
Supermassive.
Yes. They are making a Scream game.
Oh, they are?
They are making a Scream game.
Is it going to be the same format as
it is
as the Dark Pictures anthology and Until Dawn and The Quarry?
Yes, it is. So that's really exciting, especially for us Scream fans. Like, that's we're eating good.
Yeah, it's awesome news. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah.
That's really good news for Scream and all the fans of it.
They could do a lot with that,
Yeah.
especially with the like actors that they pay to play those roles. I think that could come good. Hopefully it doesn't get affected by the video game strike that is going to happen next year. So hopefully things work out before that has to happen. But yeah, so let's move into some fun facts about Scream.
Yeah, do you have fun facts, Calvin, about this movie?
I do have some fun facts, so get ready. The party scene near the end of the film runs 42 minutes long. It was shot over the course of 21 days from the time the sun set to the time the sun rose. After it wrapped, the crew had T-shirts made that read, "I survived scene 118."
That is cool. That is a cool fact.
So the cast and crew jokingly called it the longest night in horror history. So
that's really cool.
I love Scream. Matthew Lillard was cast as Stu Macker by chance after accompanying his then girlfriend to an unrelated audition taking place elsewhere in the same building. Casting director Lisa Beach saw Lillard in the hallway and asked him to audition for the part. He got into the role with incredible ferocity. So by chance, we got Matthew Lillard as Stu, which is just one of the greatest performances ever. Let's see. Isn't it always like that though? Like, at the beginning of the movie, when Casey's Drew Barrymore parents come home to find something is wrong, her father tells her mother to go to the Mackenzies, which is the same thing Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis, told Lindsay, and Tommy, Brian Andrews to do in Halloween.
That is cool.
So
I missed that.
Cool little reference.
Yeah, there was, like I said, so many references to cult horror films, like overall. In this.
You know, we'll do more fun facts than we usually do. So I'll read them off. So Courtney Cox approached the production to pursue the role. She was interested in playing a bitch character to offset her nice friends 1994 image. So she didn't want to be typecasted.
Oh, man.
This image was the main reason why the producers initially refused to consider Cox for the part. Cox continued to lobby the studio as she felt she could believably play the character. Her efforts ultimately succeeded. So awesome for pursuing that, Courtney Cox.
Yeah, I thought she, like I said earlier in the episode, I thought her acting was really good in this movie.
The use of caller ID increased more than threefold after the release of this film.
I can see that had an effect.
Drew Barrymore and Neve Campbell did not meet Roger Jackson, the actor who played the voice, before shooting commenced. So all their reaction to the phone call are like pretty genuine. Whenever they were talking on the phone to the killer, they are actually talking to him. In fact, none of the cast met him. Craven thought that would be a better way to bring out the shock reactions that he needed for everyone.
That's cool. That's interesting for sure.
Jamie Kennedy was chosen for the role of Randy because he would often improvise humor into his lines, which made director Wes Craven laugh.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, he was good with all the horror facts and the way he portrayed him. He's really good.
The high school scenes were to be shot at Santa Rosa High School in California. However, very close to the shooting date, the school board read the script and denied the film to be shot there due to the violent nature, as they had been under the impression the film was a comedy and production was moved to Healdsburg, California. As payback, director Wes Craven put the end credits under the special thanks section. No thanks whatsoever to Santa Rosa City School District Governing Board.
I didn't get to the credits.
That's amazing. I have to go back and see that.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
No thanks whatsoever.
I didn't make it to the credits, like I said, most of the time. I just turned the movie off.
At around 52 minutes, when Henry Winkler opens the closet, his black leather Fonzie jacket from Happy Days 1974 is hanging in it.
I forgot that Henry Winkler was in this movie.
Yeah.
He was the principal.
Let's see. There was a 5-page treatment for Scream 2 at the end of the screenplay written by Kevin Williamson. It was written into a full-blown script after the movie became a hit at the box office. Just a 5-page treatment. That's cool.
That is cool.
Let's see. Drew Barrymore shot all of her scenes in the first 5 days of production.
Wow.
It was just really quick.
But she did a good job, but that's Drew Barrymore. So
Wes Craven initially turned down the film. He was already busy developing a remake of The Haunting from 1963 and was considering distancing himself from the horror genre in general. He signed on to direct after Drew Barrymore agreed to appear in the film. So also he was confronted by a young little boy fan who was about 10. The boy accused Craven of going soft and that he had more guts back in the day when he was making movies like Last House on the Left. That pushed him over the edge, and he called the people of Miramax and agreed to do Scream.
A little boy.
You're going soft, Wes.
You got to make some movies. You made Hills Have Eyes and Freddy. How can you back out now?
So funny, God.
It is really funny, actually.
The special effects artist used about 50 gallons of fake blood. It's a lot of blood. Not as much as Evil Dead.
Nope.
Wes Craven initially removed the bit where Casey says the first Nightmare on Elm Street film is great, but the rest suck because I thought, quote, because I thought that would make me look like an egomaniac. So Kevin Williamson convinced him to keep it in, pointing out that it is something a real life fan would say about the movies. So Wes Craven had seen Neve Campbell in Party of Five in 1994 and asked her to audition for the part. He believed she could portray a character who was innocent, but who could also realistically handle herself while dealing with the physical conflict and emotions required for the role. Let's do two more. The filming of the movie is Rose McGowan's favorite filming experience in her career. Excuse me. And let's see. Neve Campbell was originally going to say no to the film, as she especially is afraid of horror movies. But when hearing her co-star Skeet Ulrich from The Craft was going to appear, she agreed. So that's cool.
So some comfort. She's like,
yeah.
Okay.
And that'll do it for fun facts. There are so many fun facts, and I would love to keep going, but obviously we're on a time thing. So
yeah, we do have one that I will present that you missed.
Oh yeah, I did. Here, he told me about this before we started, but yes.
Did you also notice that Linda Blair was the obnoxious reporter and Wes Craven is Freddy in the hallway?
Oh shit!
And he's dressed. He's the janitor.
That is actually not the one that he told me, but yes, yeah. That is a cool fun fact. That's really awesome. Well, the fun fact that he told me was that Ghostface character costume, like the face, was designed after the famous artist's painting,
The Scream.
So, yeah. The one where he's like, oh!
Yep.
Yeah. Super awesome. I think that's really awesome. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. This was episode, day 14. So
yeah.
We'll catch you tomorrow for day 50.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next day for 15.
Thank you all so much for watching the Calvin Cam podcast. You can find us on any social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter. Go check our podcast out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. We also have YouTube channel, the Calvin Cam. Go over there, hit that like and subscribe button, and follow us there. As well as you can now really support us on Patreon.com. It's probably the best place to support us. So you can go there, join one of our 3 tiers, and help us get bigger and better. And we will appreciate you every step of the way. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good night.